Tonight on the Night Team. Shots rang out near the Big Four Bridge Friday night. Two groups of teenagers shooting at each other.
A lot of them are angry. There's a lot of families affected by that.
As the city closes out its National Youth Violence Prevention Week, how advocates are responding to the recent gun violence at the hands of teenagers. Plus, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear saying the state may not have the money to carry out nearly a dozen GOP-backed bills, the letter he sent to lawmakers. And later, take a look at these flames in the backyard of a New Albany house. A homeowner burning leaves at their house turned into two houses catching on fire. Right now on the WHAS11 Night Team. Gunfire rang out in downtown Louisville last night between two groups of teenagers, some as young as 13 years old. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. The altercation happened near the Big Four Bridge at the tail end of Louisville's National Youth Violence Prevention Week. WHAS 11 Night Team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester spoke to advocates tonight for ending gun violence on what they see curbing violence among teenagers.
I was just not surprised.
Kenneth Forbes, the founder of Mothers of Murdered Sons and Daughters of Kentucky, a group against gun violence, reacting to a violent night near the Big Four Bridge Friday evening. Police say two groups of teens and young adults shot at each other and fled the area. Officers arrested three teenagers as young as 13 and seized a gun. It happened while downtown was busy with people at events.
And I think a lot of this trauma over the course of the years does have an effect on how the kids are responding right now.
Forbes says the issue with youth violence has been consistent and is leading to second-generation homicide, saying he's going to funerals of kids who are killed by gun violence just like their parent. At the Crown Plaza, just north of the airport.
Businesses, organizations, and young people all are coming together to celebrate a week-long effort to end gun violence in Louisville.
Led by the Metro Youth Cabinet, events were planned across the Metro for National Youth Violence Prevention Week, centered around teenagers' interests, like a basketball tournament.
It's just absolutely amazing seeing these youth coming out all week and actually getting along and participating. Absolutely feels amazing knowing that, hey, we are doing the right thing, we are taking the right steps.
With Friday evening's incident, advocates know the work doesn't stop when the week ends.
When we have our meetings, a lot of parents are still angry, and it's not addressed.
Having them see each other and understand, wait a minute, you're going through the same thing that I am going through, and I never really realized it, so we have to unite.
Continuing to inform people of resources that are available as the fight continues. In Louisville, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
There were no injuries reported from last night's exchange of gunfire. LMPD is investigating after a juvenile was shot this morning near the Hikes Point neighborhood. LMPD responded to the shooting just before 9:30 this morning on Church Court. While officers were on their way to the scene, a boy arrived at the hospital by private means with a gunshot wound. Police say the boy was shot in the arm and is expected to survive. LMPD believes they have all parties accounted for in this case. Last night, LMPD took a suspect into custody after a deadly shooting in the Hallmark neighborhood. Officers say they received the call around 10 last night on Penway Avenue. That's just a few blocks down from Algonquin Park. There, officers found a man in his car with a fatal gunshot wound to the head. And again, LMPD does tell us that they have all parties accounted for in this case. The Hardin County Sheriff's Office is investigating after multiple juveniles were injured following an overnight crash. The Sheriff's Office said they responded to the crash just before 2:20 this morning on St. John Road. Police say a teen was driving east on the road when they lost control and then rolled over. They were ejected from the car and airlifted to Louisville, where they are currently in critical condition. Another juvenile was ejected from the car and pronounced dead at the scene. Two other juveniles were in the car and suffered minor injuries. Today, Officer Nick Rodman was honored by LMPD members, along with his family and friends. Officer Rodman died 8 years ago in the line of duty on March 29, 2017. Today, his family emphasized how he was a loving husband, father, and community servant. Rodman's wife, Ashley, said that his legacy continues to make an impact today.
So much good has been done in the Louisville community in honor of Nick through the foundation we created to carry on his legacy. It is bittersweet, but I know it is something he would be proud of.
This past week, Mayor Craig Greenberg honored Rodman by renaming Windsor Park to Nick Rodman Legacy Park. The park will open later this spring. And new tonight, burning leaves led to 2 homes catching fire this afternoon in New Albany. The New Albany Fire Department says they responded to the homes on Silver Creek Drive around 4 this afternoon. According to the fire department, the fire was caused by a homeowner burning leaves. New Albany police tried to put the flames out until firefighters arrived. The incident resulted in a small woods fire that caused major damage to one home and minor damage to another. No injuries were reported in this incident. Well, it was a pretty beautiful day here in Kentuckiana, and that's now being traded for storms and potentially severe weather tomorrow. That's why we've declared tomorrow a weather impact alert day. Let's check in now with meteorologist Danielle Moss for when we can expect to start seeing the storms roll through. Danielle.
Well, the rainfall has arrived and we have our eye on it very, very closely. There's severe weather off to our west, moving near Omaha as well as in Kansas City. But here around Kentuckiana, we are starting to see more rainfall north of Louisville near Madison and Seymour. But most of us are dry tonight. That's not going to remain the case, though. Over the next few hours, we're really going to start to see that rainfall increase. Pockets of heavy rain and maybe even a few thunderstorms around 3 a.m. So overnight tonight, make sure that you are prepared in case you hear that rumble of thunder. That's not the main line of storms. This is just the first round of rainfall that we will be watching as we head into your Sunday. Then Sunday around 5, 6, 7 a.m. we start to dry out, and then it looks like we could be mostly dry throughout the afternoon hours. The cloud cover will keep that moisture chance in there for some of us to see some isolated showers, but big weather story will be late Sunday, and because of that we are in a level 3 for strong to severe thunderstorms, and unfortunately we can't rule out the possibility of a tornado. Here's a look at our weather impacts alert we are issuing it for the evening and the nighttime hours for your Sunday. Strong storms are possible. Make sure they have multiple ways to receive warnings. Let's time it out for you. It looks like 4 p.m. Some of us could be seeing some isolated thunderstorms pop up ahead of the main line. Some of these could be even stronger than the main line of storms. High winds will continue to be our main concern with this system. Around 9:30 p.m. some strong thunderstorms will be right here in Louisville. I'll time out the rest of it and this main line of storms that'll be arriving around 10:30 p.m. coming up a little bit later on in the newscast.
Thank you, Danielle. And now is the time to download the free WHAS11 app. It'll send you the latest notifications of any severe weather right to your phone. Plus, if you were to lose power, we stream all of our newscasts so you can stay up to date. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is warning he may not be able to carry out nearly a dozen GOP-backed bills, citing a lack of funding. In a letter sent to legislators Thursday, Governor Beshear wrote that his office, at current funding, could not fulfill big changes to water regulation, occupational safety, and Medicaid. He cited Kentucky Supreme Court cases establishing limitations on policy implementations when budget appropriations are not included. Members of the Republican supermajority were strongly critical of the claims made in Beshear's letter, saying they were legally incorrect.
And let me be very clear, it is the legislature that budget, not him. When we budget, we don't line item everything. And when we don't line item something specifically or pass other bills without direct appropriations, it's because we feel you have the adequate funds to implement and follow the law.
Meade also argued that Beshear has found funding to implement his own agenda items in the past, specifically referencing Beshear's efforts to expand Medicaid to include dental, vision, and hearing benefits. Meade also threatened the governor's budget appropriations in the next 2-year budget.
So I will say this in closing. Don't worry, Governor, because next year when we do the budget, we are going to make it abundantly clear what you can and cannot spend money on.
This is not the first time Beshear said the legislature has underfunded a bill. Last year, Beshear said he didn't receive the funding to implement a kinship care program bill that would help keep kids out of foster care. The auditor's office has already launched an investigation into that bill. Meanwhile, Governor Beshear has confirmed that Kentucky has lost some grant money thanks to cuts at the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. This week, the Health Department announced that more than $11 billion in COVID-19 funding across the country would be canceled. The reasoning the department gave is because the pandemic is over. Beshear says he intends to challenge that because it is not a legal reason to end a contract.
These are promises that the federal government made, and they're doing things like helping us have more people at our health clinics. But those dollars have been appropriated by a law that Congress passed, and a president or an executive can't say we're just not going to do it and we're going to cancel them.
The nationwide cuts include funding for tracking infectious diseases, mental health services, and addiction treatment. Officials called the spending a waste since they said the pandemic is over. And the Indiana legislative session still continues, and a new bill would require sheriffs to work with immigration officials. The controversial bill has brought debate all session and is now one step closer to the governor's desk. House Bill 1393 would require sheriffs to notify ICE if they have probable cause to believe someone is here illegally after an arrest for a misdemeanor or felony. Opponents worry that officers could profile people and send legal migrants to ICE custody by mistake. However, supporters say the suspect already has to have committed a crime.
Senator Taylor, it only applies when someone has been arrested for a misdemeanor or felony. First of all, I hope nobody's committing crime, but if they've committed a crime and then they can't
haven't
produce
committed a crime. Respectfully, Senator, please quit saying that. They've been arrested. They have not been convicted of committing a crime. They have been arrested, and the crime has not been proven to have happened. Please quit saying that, because they don't have to commit a crime to be sent to ICE.
Law enforcement has also come out against it, saying they don't want to do ICE's job for them. The bill must go back to the House, where lawmakers must agree to the changes before it can make it to the governor's desk.